Guys, I apologize. I have high winds today and it is significantly destroying my internet service. So I'm going to try from my phone for a little while. Today we have, I'm not able to share it on the screen right now, but we have two wonderful speakers again today. But before we get started, we're going to have Ms. Tara share something really special about a upcoming calm training. So I'm going to let her go ahead and take the first few minutes, and then we'll go ahead and move on to our speakers. So Tara, I'll let you go ahead and start.
Okay, great. Thanks, Carrie. I'm just going to share with this audience some new upcoming things that we have, AgriSafe has. The first one is AgriSafe is now, can you see my screen, Carrie? Can you see?
I can see it.
Yeah,
okay, great.
Good.
So AgriSafe is in doing the conversations on access to lethal means training now for, since a couple of National Farm Safety and Health Weeks ago. But now we are going to start offering clinician workshops. And this one is counseling on access to lethal means. This is targeted primarily to healthcare providers that have connections or interactions with individuals that are in crisis, to talk about safety within access to both medication, firearms, anything that might be considered harmful for that individual. And so we're doing two workshops. The first one is going to be the end of April, and the second one is going to be in June. These are like 3.5 hour workshops, though. There is a fee with it, so I just wanted to share this with you. And we're going to be putting this out in our constant contact. We are going to be offering CEs for social workers, psychologists, CMEs, nurses, and we also have Louisiana Counseling Association CEs for this as well, and it will count for ethics for that organization. And then the second thing I want to share with you is a new initiative that we're working on. Let me just take this down. Is AgriSafe received funding from the National Library of Medicine to put some initiatives out for community health workers. So we're going to be sharing our agricultural health and safety trainings with community health workers. This is the build out page that we have for them. And we are also asking you, once this gets live, to share this. Community health workers are going to be able to earn a badge for any of the trainings that they do. These are some of the topics. We are getting CEs from University of Texas at Tyler for community health workers, as well as CHWIs, which are instructors. And we're also initiating a community health workers survey. We want to know from community health workers what interests you in agricultural safety and health. So we're going to have a lot of options for them. This is going to be free training for community health workers through the 1st of November. And so we really want your help in getting this out as soon as we get this published and live. And with that, Carrie, I am going to, someone else can take over the screen because I can't find mine. Oh, there's the stop share button. Thank you so much.
All right. Tara, do we have the links to those yet that you can put in the chat, or will that be coming out later?
I can share. Yes, I will put the link to the community health worker page. We're getting a few more edits on the flyer, but that's going to go out in our constant contact, and we can certainly share it again in April with that flyer on the calm counseling. But there are limited seats, only 30 per workshop, because that's quite a heavy lift. And all three of our calm trainers are going to be facilitating that workshop. Both of them.
Wonderful. All right, guys, love to have you join us for that. Mm-hmm. If you've been with our AgriStress meetings for a while, you know that I also operate as a partially disabled cattle farmer here in Missouri. And I know that sometimes a specific product really helps with my mental health. And I love to share those with you guys, because if you can work easier and just make things a little bit more convenient for you if you do have physical challenges, it's like your anxiety, your frustration level all comes down quite a few notches. And I was looking up, I can't remember what I was looking up online, but I happened to come across DM carts, and it is made by an actual farmer. So I initially talked to Derek, but Brother Mike is going to be able to give our presentation today. So they are the CEOs of DM carts. They're farmers themselves. And as you can see, when you go on the website, They are made for the farmer by the farmer. So Mike, I'm going to go ahead and let you, I think you have a PowerPoint to share today. You can go ahead and share that and go ahead and start your presentation.
Okay, I'll start by saying, no, my brother did not hit me. No, I did not get hit by my wife. And no, it did not happen at a bar. Just a simple game of pickup. That's why I got a little black eye. But are you able to see my screen?
It's coming on right now. There we go. You're up.
Okay, I'll try to keep it simple and we'll try to go through it fast for that way if you have any questions at the end, we can get to them. So, see if I can get this going first. Oh, okay. Well, to start our story, me and my brother, we both started to find a way to make our daily task on the farm less difficult and more productive. We grew up on a turkey farm in Midwest Ohio. Turkey farming can be very labor intensive. The physical demand of lifting and carrying turkeys take a toll on long-term farmers such as ourselves. In order to make our job more efficient and ergonomic, we began fabricating a new cart in our shop. We have since developed a patented product that streamlines our daily task and greatly reduces our strain on our bodies. The G10 cart is in multiple states across America and has evolved into other models and provide a wide range of applications outside of turkey farming. Our product offerings, we offer right now 3 different production models: the F5 cart, the G10 conveyor cart, and the D10 dump cart. And we are also working on multiple other products and different carts that are in prototype stages, and hopefully they'll be coming out here this year. And as you can see in this picture, the 3 main models that we make. And why to purchase a DM cart? DM carts are designed to make daily tasks easier and more efficient. When you choose DM carts, you're choosing a company that supports family, faith, and country. And we will strive to put you, the customer, first. We also have an ergonomic design where electric, where it's just quiet. So whenever you're working, you don't have to hear the engine noise, or if you're inside of a building, you don't have to deal with the fumes. We are made in the US. Our carts are built to last. They're built mostly out of steel, pretty stout, pretty durable. And we also do a very good job at tailoring our product towards the customer. So here's a customer of ours. He's actually a neighbor down the road of ours. But him and his brother were in a silo accident, and they fell down from the top of a silo. And if you don't know much about silos, those can be anywhere from 40 to 80 foot tall. And I'm not sure how tall theirs were or how high they were when they fell, but I know they were pretty high up there. And he was on the bottom and his brother landed on top of him down a chute. And he had some very severe injuries, but he didn't want to stop working. So he came to us. We were making these carts already. And he said, "Hey, we got turkey barns. What can you do to keep me doing work within our farm? So can you make this cart acceptable for us inside the barn?" So we modified a few things and ended up with this cart. And one was the dual wheel steering up front, because typically we sell it with 3 wheels, which most people like because it's turned sharp and it's easy to navigate. But he needed to be more stable going through the barns since his legs don't work well. And then we also gave him a flip down seat that he sits down in there. So now everything he does, he just does while he's sitting. He's able to bend over, whether it's working on a feed line or the water line or just navigating through the birds. He's very comfortable on there. And he's just extremely happy that he was able to keep moving and keep working. He didn't want to just sit at home and not do nothing. He wanted to be out on the farm. A more efficient way to work. Most of our carts are sold in poultries, although we are in different fields. But turkeys are more than double the size that they were a decade ago. The frequent heavy lifting of a turkey farmer is difficult and hard on a body. The DMG10 cart provides a faster, easier, and more ergonomic way to remove deceased poultry from barns. With our conveyor cart, there's no need to handle birds twice, as it's got a steel conveyor. So once you load it, you're able to hit a button and it'll automatically unload the cart for you. And again, our carts are built to last. They're made of solid steel with heavy duty drive axles. The tank has a heavy duty detachable chain with thick sprockets and 9-gauge cross members. And it's got a solid, a right angle gearbox with a large DC motor that controls the conveyor. Some of our key features of our G10 cart: the DM developed a tank with low sidewalls that are approximately 30 inches off the ground. As a reference, your typical wheelbarrows, they're around 28 inches. So you're able to hop on this one and drive it around, and you only gain 2 inches of height, which is pretty critical if you're talking about picking stuff up and throwing it in there, or scooping up dirt or whatever it may be and shoveling it in there. The lower it is, the easier it is on the person's body. This design is intended to decrease the physical demand of the person lifting and filling the tank. And as you can kind of see here in this picture, that's actually me. I'm 6'1", and my hand is just touching the top of the cart. And that turkey is 14 weeks old. Normally they grow them to be about 18 to 22 weeks old. So that's a fairly big size turkey. And you can just see if you had to load anything in there, it's at a comfortable height to access it. We also have hands-free unloading. As you can see in these pictures, you can back through a standard 36-inch door, and then some people back through a door, and then they'll have a skid loader tilted back, so you're able to unload a product into the skid loader bucket, whether it be manure or whatever it may be. This allows you to not have to dump product back on the ground. Instead, you're able to put it right into the next piece of equipment to dispose of it or move it wherever it needs to be. We also made this cart with turkey safety in mind. You know, with our carts, they're narrow, and with the V-plow in front, the operator can safely drive through a crowded turkey barn and prevent from harming any turkeys. With no motor, no gas motor, noise helps prevent the birds from not becoming spooked. There's also no harmful fumes inside the barns due to our carts being electric. Our carts have built-in parameters such as a slow starting and fast stopping that will help the operator to avoid turkeys. Carts can be left in the barn and this helps with their biosecurity. Our G10 cart does not require protection from turkeys. So that just means we're able to leave the cart in there. All you got to do is take an extension cord to charge it. We have if you can kind of see underneath the American flag, there's a circle there. And all that is a place to plug an extension cord. So that's out of the way of the turkeys, and it's easy to access, so you don't have to bend over. And you just plug in the cart there, and that's where you would charge the cart overnight or once a week, whatever your task calls for. Our drivetrains, our carts are fully electric, utilizing two 12-volt 50-amp-hour lithium batteries. This makes for a quiet ride with no fumes and provides enough power to make it through an average workday. We have a fully enclosed, powerful drive axles that offers weight capacities up to 1,000 pounds. All of our drive axles come with an automatic engaging electronic brake, and this prevents free rolling. So here's a short video of, if I can get it to play. Just showing that how much weight you can put into our carts. You know, we just use gravel. It's an easy way to load it and just show exactly how much it can handle. maybe speed it up a little bit just so I don't run out of time. Hopefully I'm not talking too fast for you guys. I just want to make sure I get through it all. As you can see, in a softer litter and with wider feed tread tires, it just goes through it real easy. I think it said on there before how much weight was on there. It's like 750 pounds, I think. With that much weight plus the operator, you're just under 1,000 pounds, and it handles through a turkey barn real well. The nice part with these is when you're on the carts, there's a toolbox on there. If you have a problem with a feed line or something, you can carry some of your more popular tools with you to fix common problems. We all like to think that you don't have any problems, but there's days you don't seem like you ever get done fixing stuff. So here you can see you can back through a standard door and just unload whatever product you may have. Just a simple flip of a switch and the whole thing's unloaded. As you can imagine, there was, I probably am going to say it wrong, but there was around 750 pounds in there. So for most carts, if you had to load 750 pounds, you would have to unload 750 pounds. So with our carts, you only had to do it once. Just go through a couple of our popular accessories. Kind of just touched on the toolbox. It's there. It's also kind of serves as a leaning post a little bit, but you can put tools or parts in there for your common fixes. The V-plow is for the poultry farming. It allows you to just go through the turkeys or chickens, whatever you're working with, and not hurt them. We also offer an aggressive V-tread floater tire that just allows better flotation, and it's a little wider, a little better stability. For the front tire, we offer two styles, a single and a dual wheel front configuration. We can offer a non-flat tire. It's the same size essentially, but it's another ½ inch wider and it's a little more flat, which also improves your stability. And also with it being a non-flat, you never have to worry about fixing it. Here to your left is the dual wheel suspension steering. It just allows for more stability going through a little more uneven products. Our fold-away cushion seat, as you can see, when you want to hop on it, you can flip that seat up, or say you want to stand, you can flip it up while you drive the cart. You get tired and you want to sit down, you flip it down. Our conveyor extension, this extends the conveyor by 27 inches and raises the unload height to 37.5 inches. Depending on what your need may be, it's a very nice option, but for most people, they don't need it. But if you do, we do offer it. And then for those of you that get up early in the morning or work late at night, or even if you're just barns or just lightly or poorly lit, we offer LED lights. We have multiple flatbed specific accessories. These all kind of depend on your axle configuration, and they're all plug and play. All of them can be taken on and off within several minutes. Some take 2 people or a lift, but they're all really easy to take on and off. On the left, we have a cargo rack. So it's just a way to keep your product inside the flatbed without things rolling off. Then we have a Femco fertilizer spreader and our Femco sprayer with up to 12-foot booms. That can be sold as a package, or it can be sold individual. If you just need the spreader, or if you just need the sprayer, you can buy either and or. Then we also have a 15 cubic foot conveyor tank, and this is real similar to our G10 cart, where it uses all the same components, and it's just got a conveyor in there, but it goes on our flatbed that, just like all these other ones, you can take off and then put one of these other products on, or just have a standard flatbed. We have a narrow transport people carrier. This allows you to haul up to 5 people, whether it's just around the farm or if you're at a trade show or something and you want to navigate through a crowd. It's nice and narrow, easy to get on and off. We have a 10 cubic foot square dump tank, and this is similar to the dump tank is the same mechanisms as what's on our D10 cart, just attached to our flatbed cart. Our carts are used in multiple applications: chicken high-rise barns, litter removal between flocks, laying plastic sheets and cages, general transportation and long barns, calf farming, which includes feed and bottle distribution. It can also be used for horse farming, manure removal, feed transportation, or water transportation. They are used in broiler farms, landscaping, whether it's hauling mulch or rocks. It can be used in an industrial setting. It's nice because it's got a narrow design and it's got a lower height, so you can load stuff easily to it. And you also are able to turn sharply if you're navigating through aisleways. It's great for part stocking or delivery, or even just personal transport down and out throughout the factory. And then with various attachments, it makes it a one-stop shop for buyers. And there's also no noise and no fumes, which is great if you're working inside of a building. Along with various useful attachments, the F5 and the F5.2 flatbed cart has an available suspension seat and daytime running lights for added safety. I'll touch on this cart real quick. We just recently had a customer who has been in a wheelchair most of his adult life, and same kind of story as the guy before, but he wanted to be able to work on his farm, and he gets around great. He's just got a positive attitude, a never give up attitude. So he just wants to be able to get out. His son built hog barns right down the road, and he wanted to be able to get to those hog barns and then do the cattle and stuff at his place. So he came to us, and we offered a flatbed cart, and we didn't really put the dump cart part on it until he said, "Hey, I want to be able to haul grain around." So with his approval, we designed this. And since he needed a more comfortable seat to be able to sit on a longer time and comfortably, since he don't have real good access with his legs, we also put on the suspension seat. He's had it for several weeks now, and he is just extremely happy with it. He's able to carry fairly heavy loads with it. This has our faster transaxles on it, so it's faster than a person can walk. So you can imagine when he's in the barnyard, he's able to move around and get around pretty good, and he's not taking all day to get things done. And then when he wants to go down to his son's hog barn, it's not hard for him to do that now. And here's a short video of our dump cart and the flatbed with the sprayer and spreader in action. So this was a standard cart for us, and then that previous customer just wanted that dump attachment on his flatbed, and we found a way to put it on there. And he's able to take that attachment off, and then he has a flatbed real easy. It's a matter of a couple clamps and a quick connect wiring harness. Here's the spreader and sprayer. Just like the other attachment, this all comes off in several minutes. I mean, depending on who's doing it, it can be 5 or it can be 15 minutes as far as taking it off, but it's all pretty easy. It's all pretty adjustable. Some people won't put the water tank on there, and then they'll put the bags of fertilizer where the water tank's at, and then they don't ever have to go to the loading station wherever they're loading their tank. When they run out, they just stop right there and they can reload it. As you can see, it was pretty simple just to take the boom off the sprayer and attach it to the back. We do offer 2 different speeds, transaxles. One goes around 4 miles an hour, the other one goes around 7. So you can also see here, drives right on the back of a pickup truck. So depending on what the person needs to use it for, it can be moved from farm to farm or job site to job site fairly easy. And if you could imagine moving that heavy stone all day long with a manual wheelbarrow versus one of our carts, you can just imagine how much better you'd feel at night and how much more energy you would have just by not having to push that through a lawn 50 times, 100 times a day, and then have to do it all over again the following day. We do offer an electric cylinder. You can get it manual or electric, depending on what your task requires or how much labor you want to take away. Back to our products being stout, you can be pretty rough with them if you want to. I mean, you're not going to hurt them very easily. They can handle a pretty big load. So the D10 dump cart is a kind of a jack of all trades cart. You can use it to haul mulch, trash, paving stones, firewood, yard waste, chicken litter, animal feed, and more. It's a little more versatile than our G10 cart, mainly because with that conveyor, certain products will get underneath it where it don't work good, where you can use this on everything. Here's just a small video of the D10 cart in action. So you can drive it up to a wood pile, load it up pretty full, and then bring it right to where the campfire is at. Whether it be that's enough wood for the night, or you just want to transport it out of the woods to a different place. Just to show kind of how heavy of a load you can get on it. Concrete's pretty heavy. They got this filled pretty full, and the cement truck can't drive any farther ahead. So they used our cart here to just transport cement. It wasn't far, but if they needed to go farther, it would work just fine. They just back it up to where it was needed, and it just saved them a lot of time shoveling or using a different type of wheelbarrow to move it. In this application, this is a chicken barn, and they're just getting rid of a litter. They carry it. I mean, these barns are 600-700 feet long, so you can imagine taking that trip over and over and over again if you didn't have an electric cart, and it'd just be very tiring. We got these in quite a few barns now, and it just saves a lot of time, a lot of labor, and it actually makes things faster. It's like anything though, when you're doing a job over and over again, if you don't enjoy it, the day just the next day always stinks, and then you got to dread the next day. So we have helped several customers that have faced difficult challenges throughout the years to be able to continue the work that they love. We make tailored solutions that ensure customers have what they need to be successful. Our passion is helping others by providing them with transportation and tools to be able to continue doing the work that they love. I'll touch on this real briefly here. This was another customer of ours that this lady had a pretty banged up knee. She can kind of hobble along pretty good, but she boards horses. I'm not sure how many horses she had there. It looked like there was 15 or 20 horses there that she was boarding. And she was having a very difficult time doing her daily chores. So she ended up purchasing 3 carts off of us. One has the conveyor on it and 2 flatbed carts. The conveyor she uses to remove manure out of the stables. Then we also made her this ramp that allowed her to back the cart up, and then she is able to dump into her trailer. And actually, she's now able to get almost 50% more manure on the trailer because of the way they were doing in the past. So now she saves time not hauling the manure away quite so often, and she don't have to handle the manure twice. We also have a flatbed cart that she uses to transport feed and hay around with, or whether it be shovels or anything around the farm. And she also has a tank there that she uses to water her horses. Because she also has some pastures where she's got to carry a water out to them, and that's just attached with a 12-volt motor, and she flips a switch and there's a garden hose reel there. She's able to pull it out right to the water source and fill up her horse's buckets of water. She was extremely grateful when we delivered them, and she's been extremely happy with everything since. And that's all I have. I can go back through any slides if you have any questions. If you have any other questions, I'm here to answer them. And I hope I didn't rush and go too fast through this.
Mike, I would love for you to put your web address in the chat, because I think people are going to want to go look at that ASAP. We will also send out the link in our email that we send after this with the recording link. But I just looking at this, like whenever I was perusing your website, me being partially disabled, I can use this thing for so many different tasks. And for me, I'm thinking the 2 things that I have the most struggles with are conserving energy and conserving my steps. So I'm an 80% wheelchair user. And I know we have a lot of people on here that are thinking, my gosh, the aging farmer, it's not just for people, with any kind of handicaps. And what are you, like, just a quick overview, the farmers that you have helped, what are you hearing back from them as far as, just relief, mental health, the frustration that has decreased?
I better unmute it. For a lot of them, the ones that have disabilities or limitations, it's just fatigue for them, or they can hop on it and they can get the job done that they need to without burning a lot of energy. It allows them to go places that some of them couldn't go before. Like the horse person, she has her barn there, and then she actually had like 3 or 4 different barns there, so she's got to go to all these different barns. And when you got a banged up knee, it just takes a lot to be able to do that. When you have a cart there, you can park it next to the barn, do your chores in there, maybe put a load on it, and then go to the next barn. And then whether it's going down or up and down the hills, for her, she was able to do that and still feed her animals.
Yeah. I can just imagine the relief on that. We're running a little bit over on time, but if you would stay on, there are some comments in the chat that I would like for you to go ahead and answer, and that way they can talk back and forth with you. But I feel like I want to share this with everyone, because I just feel the relief sitting here thinking I've got to get one of these things. And I know probably a lot of our audiences too. So I'll let you stop sharing. And then if you want to go in the chat and comment or answer any of those questions, we would love for you to do that. And then we'll also send out all of your contact information when we send out the recording link to this meeting today. But I really appreciate you guys coming on. I feel like farmers are natural born engineers, and you guys like took it to the next level.
Well, thank you. Thank you for your time. I will add one more thing that we really like doing is we like making custom products for specific individuals. So if you have a specific need or you look at a card and say, hey, can you do this? We love the challenge. We love doing it.
That's awesome. We love that. All right, everybody, if you want to go ahead and ask Mike a question, go ahead and do that in the chat. You can either do it publicly for everyone to see, or you can send him a chat privately. I'll let you guys go ahead and handle that. But we are going to go ahead and move to our next speaker, Miss Asa. This is a topic that we have been missing within our AgriStress meeting, and we're really happy that they were able to go ahead and be with us this month, and that is LGBTQ plus in agriculture. And Miss Asa Billington is going to go ahead and give us a background, because this is what she does for a living. So Asa, I'll go ahead and let you go ahead and take over. And if you have a presentation, you can go ahead and share now.
Sure, thank you. Give me one moment here. Let's see. There we go. Can you all see my screen?
Yep, looks good.
All right, thank you. So again, my name is Asa. So good to be here with you all today. I'm going to be talking with you all about some research that I've been working on in collaboration with Courtney Cuthbertson on LGBTQ plus experiences within agriculture. So just a little bit more about me for a sec here. My name is Asa. I use they, them pronouns. I identify as queer and non-binary. I received my PhD in Human Development and Family Studies in the summer of 2023. I currently work as a postdoc at the University of Illinois in Champaign-Urbana. Throughout my time here, a lot of my interests have been, my dissertation was really about sexual identity development, but I've developed a lot of interest through my postdoc in understanding farm stress. What can we do to mitigate that stress? And particularly, what does that look like for LGBTQ plus farmers? So this is kind of a picture that we see when we think about typical farmers and farming research. We see someone who is white, heterosexual, identifies as a man, often about middle age, and engaging in larger scale farming. But we know that this picture does not depict all farmers in the US. There are more than 23,000 LGBTQ plus people working in agriculture. And it's especially important to consider these individuals and thinking about how they may be navigating potentially discriminatory or hostile working environments, and how this can create or make stress worse for LGBTQ plus people in those settings. We know we have quite a bit of a body of research about farm stress and how farmers often have worse mental health outcomes than the general population, than other populations. But there's very little research specifically about what this looks like for LGBTQ plus people. So looking at some mental health comparisons here, what you see here is a chart of some statistics regarding the prevalence of anxiety, depression, and suicidality among the general LGBTQ plus population, which is represented in orange. The general population overall represented in green, and then non-LGBTQ plus farmers represented in blue. As you can see, anxiety and depression for both non-LGBTQ plus farmers and the general LGBTQ plus population is very high, higher than for the general population. And suicidality is quite high for the general LGBTQ plus population. But that leaves the question is, what does this look like for that intersection there of being LGBTQ plus and being a farmer? And that brings us to the aim of this study that I'm going to be talking about today. We've been interested in investigating stress, mental health, and well-being among LGBTQ plus people working in agriculture. Today, I'm going to be presenting a broad overview of some of these findings. So just some brief background so you can understand where this data comes from. This was a mixed method study. So we collected like survey questions, questionnaires, like quantitative data, as well as some interview data from a subsample of this group. So people who were recruited for this included, they had to be 18 years old or older. They had to work in agriculture at the time of taking the survey. They had to live and work in the US at the time of taking the survey, and also self-identify as LGBTQ+. They were given incentives for participating. We ended up getting about 148 participants to complete the survey from 36 states. They mostly identified as queer, identifying as woman and or transgender, and then also largely being white. The age ranged from 19 to 67 with a mean age of 33. 17 of these participants, who completed the survey also volunteered to participate in an interview. Again, this subsample was largely queer, identified as non-binary and or woman, and represented 10 different states. Overall, the sample was mostly working full-time, identified themselves as farm workers, mostly involved in organic production, and had vegetables and or fruits as their primary commodity. The years farming ranged from 1 to 50 with an average of 7.2 years. So some of our findings here. We asked participants to respond to questions about mental health, including anxiety symptom experience, depression symptom experience, and potential risk for suicide in the future. And you can see here in this chart, over 68% experienced anxiety symptoms that met the threshold for an anxiety disorder diagnosis. We see over 70% experiencing depression symptoms that meet the threshold for a depression diagnosis. And then we can see here in the lighter blue being a little over 50% of the sample was at significant risk of suicide. So here we are getting some much needed information about some of the mental health outcomes. Now let's overlay these findings on mental health for LGBTQ+ farmers on our previous chart, so you can kind of see them compared. Now you can see LGBTQ+ farmers represented in pink. As you can see, our sample had higher levels of anxiety than the general LGBTQ+ population or the general population, and similar to what has been found in general farming samples. When we look at depression and suicide, we see that that was much higher in our current sample than any of the other comparison groups. And that this was also true for suicidality, people being at significant risk for suicide in the future. So beyond giving us some more information about the mental health outcomes, which on its own is highly valuable, we were also able to analyze the qualitative data to give us some more insight into what factors may contribute to the stress and poor mental health outcomes, and also what factors may mitigate that. So one of the questionnaires asked about farm stressors specifically. Within this questionnaire, participants were given the option to write in stressors they experienced that they felt were not represented on that questionnaire. And here you see a qualitative analysis of these write-in responses, demonstrating that LGBTQ+ farmers experience a lot of the same stressors that all farmers experience. All farmers experiencing stress with running a business, the cost involved, having to deal with the logistics, interacting with policy and external supports, having to meet basic needs, things that everyone has to encounter. What we found kind of interesting here that we'd like to explore more is this, even these ways that LGBTQ+ farmers are experiencing general farm stressors may look different, given whatever their specific context is. So for example, concerns about access to bathrooms, that could be a safety issue as well that non-LGBTQ+ farmers might not experience. So this is just thinking about how LGBTQ farmers may experience general farm stressors in unique ways if they're unable to access supports that are more readily available to non-LGBTQ+ farmers, or if these stressors are kind of existing within a context of homophobia or transphobia. We also saw write-ins where they talked about stressors that were specific to being an LGBTQ plus person in agriculture. As you can see, participants described feeling stressed out by discrimination and prejudice, being worried about homophobia from farmers, from fellow farmers, being stressed out about having a lack of other LGBTQ plus people in farming, having access to community. In their words here, a few talked about being concerned, being stressed out about interacting with people who were mostly white cis men, having to interact with people that they weren't sure that they would be able to receive support from or receive mutual respect from. And then finally, being concerned about police presence. So social support, it's a factor known a buffer against poor mental health outcomes. So it was something we were looking to analyze in our qualitative interview data. In this analysis, we identified ways that LGBTQ plus farmers utilize social support to mitigate effects of LGBTQ plus farm stress. We found that some of our participants talked about lacking support from family specifically, and so they reconceptualized what family meant by using those labels to denote important relationships in their lives, often friends or romantic partners, and identifying them as family members. So as you can see here, Jackie says that what we have is essentially a queer family structure. When I say that we're all married to each other, no, we're not all having sex with each other, but we have a relationship which I can only describe as familial. And we use those terms, married to each other, as a way to solidify that relationship. So in this quote, Jackie indicated that although people in their queer community are not legally married to each other, their relationships are best described as familial. And this is largely due to their commitment to one another, their ability to lean on each other for support, and their shared responsibility for the farm and their community. Participants also discussed specifically the joy in being among people who understand them and who they feel like they can be their full self around. In this quote, Taylor says that there are a couple of queer women in my community who we've become really close with and feel really connected to. This group of people is our other support group, remind us that other like-minded people who see more of our full identity and perspective. So Taylor's talking about that, emphasizing the importance of accessing social support from other LGBTQ plus individuals, and specifically other people, other queer people within the farming community, and how there's a lot of value in that promoting feelings of authenticity. Finally, most talked significantly about relying on these relationships to cope with LGBTQ plus stress and farm stress. In this quote, Blue talks about his girlfriend saying that she's my girlfriend and she's my best friend and we're there for each other. Because even though she wasn't in the same farming situation as me, it still wasn't a great, it was a toxic work environment so that they can relate to each other, but she's willing to listen and be there for me. So really valuing that, having someone in their life who is LGBTQ plus and also understands farming stressors. Also from our interview data, we found notable themes of LGBTQ plus thriving in agriculture. Participants talked about agriculture as a healing practice, referring to the engagement in farming as a way to promote mental, emotional, and physical well-being through opportunities for self-care, through nurturing plants or animals and working with the land. We see here, Charlie talks about being most healthy physically, emotionally, and spiritually when farming. They say, I'm outside for 6 to 10 hours a day. I get to have my hands connected with the earth. I'm so in tune with the weather and the seasons and the plants and the slowness of it, as well as the quickness of the pace of a production farm. I get to move, I get to use my body, I get to use my muscles, and I get to have socialization with people on the farm. And that's really key for her mental health and stability. We also have participants who talked about really speaking again to that queer authenticity within agriculture. So we had participants talking about referring to farm work as enabling gender euphoria, enabling them to be themselves, to see reflections of queerness in nature and to engage in that social connection. Avery says there's a lot of queerness in nature, and you can see reflections of yourself outside of just being human. There's a lot of fluidity in nature, a lot of fluidity in the work. I think in general, it just allows for a healing environment that can allow for living in your body in an honest way. So really highlighting the aspects of work that enable them to be authentic and feel comfortable in their physical body. So to summarize the findings from this project so far, we've demonstrated that LGBTQ plus farmers experience high prevalences of poor mental health outcomes. They experience unique stressors, unique farm stressors. They really value relationships with other queer people in agriculture for support, and they thrive when they are within a supportive agricultural context. And that's one of the big takeaways from the study so far is the importance of intentionally fostering environments that are supportive for LGBTQ plus people in agriculture. Something that stood out to us as we've been analyzing this data was several participants described a process of actively looking to work for farming operations that clearly supported LGBTQ plus people. So creating environments, these are people who are invested in farming, they care about land stewardship, they want to be a part of the industry. And so that's where I'm thinking that really leaning into creating those supportive environments can be hugely beneficial. So I want to end this presentation with a few suggestions for that. So creating support environments can look like a lot of things. It can be embedded in your everyday life, interactions such as asking someone what pronouns they use and not assuming the pronouns of the gender of someone's partner, whether they have a partner. Just checking in to see how someone's doing. That can be very affirming. Setting expectations for your work teams that this is something we're going to value diversity, equity, inclusion, and we're going to value people with diverse gender and sexual identities. There's also things you can do that are a little bit more active and need a little bit more intention. So being responsive whenever you see instances of misgendering, instances of discrimination or microaggressions, interrupting that, intervening when you see that happening, feeling empowered to do so. And also visibly showing your support. This can look like having LGBTQ plus resources on websites if that seems appropriate. Being intentional about outreach to LGBTQ plus people, such as including them in marketing materials and sharing mental health information and resources. That being said, here's some notable LGBTQ plus farmer resources to know about. One is Cultivating Change, the Queer Farmer Network, and Trans Farmers for Trans Farmers. These are all links to those websites for you to look into more if you'd like. That's all I have. Thank you all for your time today. I'd like to thank past and present members of the Cultivate Lab who worked on this project, our participants for sharing their valuable data, and then also those who shared our study so that we can get as much reach as we could.
Yeah, thank you, Asa. Since I am on my phone today, I'm not able to copy and paste those links. If you would go ahead and paste those in our chat so that everybody can those on there. And if you guys have any questions for Asa, go ahead and either unmute and you can go ahead and ask, or you can go ahead and put it in the chat, whichever you prefer. All right. Christy says, thank you. I have learned a lot and appreciate your time. We do appreciate you. I know that we've been trying to get you on for quite a long time, and it finally worked out for us.
Yeah, of course. I'm definitely, if you have other questions, Courtney Cuthbertson is the primary investigator on this. I'll put their email in here, and then I'll also put mine.
Okay, we would love that. Yeah, Trish says, thank you. Great presentation.
Thank you.
All right. And Laura, if you're still on here, if you could copy those links for me and email them to me, I'll make sure that we get them out in our email, our video link.
Yes, I will do that.
All right. Mallory says she would love to chat with you. So maybe you guys can go ahead and get together, exchange emails. And she is in Nebraska, so she would like to do a consultation with you.
Yeah, please, grab my email, reach out to me, and maybe me and Courtney can talk with you about what kind of supports are in that area to access.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's one of the things I love so much about this meeting is the connections and collaborations that come from it. So I hope that everybody will reach out to you personally, and it fills me up to have you guys connect like that.
Thank you. Love to hear it. Definitely want to get this information out, get as much resources out as we can.
Nice. So in the chat, we have Jamie and Carol also would like to connect with you as well. Colorado and Wisconsin.
Awesome. Let's see.
I know you're so busy, Asa. We're going to make you busier.
That's the way it goes, isn't it?
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, the pronoun stuff is hard right now. And it's hard with ongoing administration policies and not really knowing the degree to which they affect certain entities. So, definitely also worth talking about in any kind of consultations.
And Asa, I will have to apologize for that. Since I am on my phone, I can't see, there's no names, there's nothing showing up on there. So I did not see that, and I misspoke.
I appreciate that. No, thank you. That's part of the work, right?
It is. Yes, thank you. All right. Okay. So we will go ahead and copy all of those links for you guys and get those out in our email. That is also going to be all the contact information and the video link to today's meeting. So we appreciate you guys coming every single month to listen and learn, and then hopefully promote and collaborate with our speakers. So we will see you guys in April next time. Thank you so much.